Sinfernal Gaming, also known as Infernally Divine, is a controversial satanic influencer, originally blowing up in 2021 for his abnormal and downright schizophrenic postings.
Is Donald Trump real? Is he a reptilian?
He has been under an extreme amount of controversy his entire career, with him flirting with as young as 13, promoting his adult OnlyFans content to his minor audience constantly, threatening to unalive his neighbors, and even doxing and threatening to murder me, Lolcow Enterprise, due to my exposing of him and his evil deeds. Today, I aim to cover all these allegations as well as investigate the origins of Sinfernal Gaming, as he truly is a sick and twisted individual. Scott's mother's childhood was wrought with abuse, which would lead her to abuse drugs and alcohol. She would become a famous model of the not safe for work variety, and according to Scott, would go on a rampage of partying, doing drugs, drinking alcohol, and sleeping with as much men as possible. She is noted to have had several abortions before Scott would be born, and would even try and abort Scott when she conceived him. She would be involved with several men, most notably Steven Tyler, lead singer of Aerosmith, in a penthouse, who coincidentally would give birth to Sinfernal Gaming 9 months later, with Sinfernal Gaming even speculating on numerous occasions that Steven Tyler is his father, with a DNA test even being conducted with mixed results. Then, Scott would be born on November 22nd, 1981. His childhood, much like his mother's, would be wrought with neglect and abuse. Being born with a younger brother, Sinfernal would claim that his mother would continue to do drugs and sleep around. She would even ask Sinfernal Gaming to help her commit suicide over 30 times. Sinfernal Gaming would claim to have been SA'd constantly throughout his entire childhood, even as small as an infant, with the perpetrators being people such as his family, his babysitters, and the many men his mother would bring around. He would, however, have a really sick narrative on just why he was SA'd as a child, with the reason being that he is just too sexy and too much of a sex symbol, even as a literal child.
And for some reason, something's going on and we wind up having sex. I don't know how, but we do. We do. And I've had a lot of sex with a lot of people in a lot of places. And girls just wanted to fuck. My whole life, everybody wanted. That's why I was molested as a kid, and it made me a hypersexual person. But I understand.
Just showing his demonic, morbid, and narcissistic thinking. He would even go in depth in one video with him claiming that his uncle's friend allegedly SA'd Sinfernal Gaming when he was a child, with him grooming Sinfernal and making Sinfernal watch him and his uncle's wife have sex, before telling Sinfernal Gaming that this is what two people who love each other do, before telling Sinfernal Gaming that he loves him, with this incident leading Sinfernal Gaming to allegedly commit arson on their mobile home as revenge. Eventually, when Sinfernal got old enough to realize all the sick stuff his mother was doing, she would begin to drop him off at church, with Sinfernal Gaming beginning to question the teachings of the church and become ostracized, beginning his journey into Satanism. This is when Sinfernal Gaming would begin to convince the kids to ditch church and go to the arcade across the street, or play doctor and house at the back of the church, where, as Scott would put it, as a 42-year-old man, they would fondle each other and he would be daddy, with him even licking his lips at one retelling, as I have recorded at least 3 instances where he brings this up unprovoked, seemingly wanting to reminisce and go into explicit detail on when he would possibly SA other children.
Check it, I kind of get what she's saying. So, when I was younger, I didn't play a lot of sports, right? But what I did play was kissing tag and house and doctor. Now, you can guess what all of those entailed. Well, people used to say that I was gay because I was hanging out with girls and playing games with girls. Yet, in my mind, I thought them all playing grab-ass with each other and getting sweaty and tackling each other looked a hell of a lot more gay than me playing kissing tag and house.
You know, he played football and stuff, so, you know, that audience tends to be, you know, very male and very right-leaning. So, you know, if somebody's gay, they're like, oh, we must...
The funny thing about that, right?
Get him out of here.
So when I was younger, okay, I made a video about this recently, I think. You may have seen it. So, people called me gay when I was in school because I was playing kissing tag and house with the girls, right? But what's more gay? Me being kissed by the girls and being daddy in the house persona that when we're playing house, or getting sweaty with dudes playing shirts and skins and didn't like me being in the presence. So I wasn't going to church to convince other kids my age at the time to ditch and go play video games down the street at the arcade or play house or doctor. Now, and I became this kind of like outcast kid at church, and so eventually I just wound up being the person who would ditch off from the church and go play video games or go play doctor.
Hold on, I had one more question. So, I want to actually bring it back. So, it's actually pretty funny because back in the church, you would try and convince the other kids to go play the arcade and doctor with you.
Oh, I would. It'd be easier to do. Like,
it'd be easy?
Church is dumb. Yeah, nobody liked it. None of us liked being there. It was stupid. The songs were dumb. The lessons were dumb. Nobody enjoyed it. But
yeah, and what'd you say?
Going behind the building and fondling each other or going off to the arcade down the street, either one of those was a way better option.
I'm willing to bet that dude chose that excerpt because it helped recall a memory that he had of sliding into somebody. Probably some little kid. I mean, because you know how those people are. It's truly sick.
Upon questioning for this predatory behavior, Scott would claim that the reason he as well as all the church priests are able to SA kids so easily is because they are messed up and messed with, heavily implying that they were asking for it or even the ones making the moves. Because, as will be covered at a later point, he has a pattern of these extremely odd thoughts.
Going behind the building and fondling each other or going off to the arcade down the street, either one of those was a way better option.
Yeah, and when you say these kids were as messed up as you, or they had a pretty
everybody,
good...
like the kids who do those kind of things are people who were messed up. They were messed with and messed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When you find a child who's over-sexualized like that, they were fucked with. It's not good. And a lot of those kids are found in churches, and that's why the churches are filled with pastors who are pedophile priests.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to try and convince the kids to play doctor with you?
In his early years, which Scott has brought up multiple times, Scott would be called homosexual as a child. This was due to him playing doctor and house with girls, not only at church but at school, rather than getting all sweaty with boys playing football. With Scott thinking the opposite is gay before beginning to reminisce on his sexual experiences with children. It is worth noting that this insult most likely left a lasting effect on Sinfernal Gaming, as he constantly needs to defend himself from his bully's ridicule from over 40 years ago, completely unprovoked and at random. Weirdly enough, however, despite Sinfernal Gaming calling football gay, he has admitted to have brought a football to school, and it was even the cause of his first fight.
I don't really remember what happened in the fight. I remember what led up to it and the aftermath. But I was a troubled youth and carried a lot of pain and anger inside of me for a long time because of my traumas that I experienced. But it was over football. I brought a football to school. This is elementary school, like 5th grade. And this kid, I told him he couldn't play because he was being an asshole, and he came up and punched me in the head. And I told him, don't do that, because he did it again, and I went and told the teacher. The teacher said she didn't see it, and I didn't look hurt, so she couldn't do anything about it. When he did it again, next thing I knew, I was on top of this person with my knees on their arms and my right thumb pushed into their left eye socket. And then somebody pulled me off, and my thumb comes out of his eye, and
now would you do that naturally?
Here we are now. That's when I realized I had anger issues you need to control, and I wound up taking Taekwondo.
Leading to speculation on Sinfernal Gaming's sexuality. This abuse and ridicule would eventually transform him into a sociopath unable to express himself, with the only thing keeping him sane and redeeming him from a life of murder and revenge being the game Final Fantasy, a game he's still enamored with till this day. In high school, Scott would begin to wear trench coats as well as become a Satanist at 15 years old, as it was the only thing that made sense according to Scott. He would meet his first baby mama in high school, with this girl belonging to an extremely Mormon family, and most notably the girl would be in a weird illegal age gap relationship, with the person being 15 years her senior and dating her since she was 12. It is alleged that the Mormons' parents found nothing wrong with their minor daughter dating a literal man. However, they would draw the line at Sinfernal Gaming as he was a Satanist. Alas, their satanic ex-Mormon love would be unstoppable, and they would continue their relationship, eventually getting knocked up in high school.
The mother of my oldest child, when we met, I was 15 and she was 14, and I still had my chastity. She had been with 3 people by then. The man she was with was a 27-year-old man named Terry, and she was 14 and had been with him since she was like 13 or 12 or some shit. The fucked up thing is, her family were okay with their young daughter dating this man because they were Mormon. He was Mormon. But here I come, a Satanist, long hair, a trench coat, They thought I was the mother devil and forbade me from seeing her. But that just drove us together even further, which is why we had a child in high school.
And I would like to quickly point out just how excited Scott sounds when talking about his ex's weird age gap relationship. Like, I mean, I have never heard him this excited about anything. And then, while still in high school, would give birth to Sinfernal Gaming's child in 1999, who later in life he would also allow to be in an extremely weird age gap relationship just like her mother. He would then begin to work at a pizza shop around this time to support his family and would begin to abuse with him constantly being high at this point. So high, in fact, that when 9/11 would happen, Sinfernal Gaming would be completely clueless, not realizing the most significant event of the 21st century happened until a few days later.
I was married in Wyoming, working at a Pizza Hut restaurant, not like when you take food out or delivers, but an actual restaurant, and played a lot of games. I was high all the time. I didn't even know 9/11 happened for like over a week.
It is also worthy to note that ever since that fateful day, Sinfernal Gaming would begin his mission of making extremely inappropriate and unfunny jokes about how whenever someone he knows is getting on an airplane, he would tell that person that he is going to tell the not to hijack their plane.
But because of 9/11, whenever I have somebody that I know that's going on an airplane, I tell that person that I will tell the not to hijack their planes. Hijack the planes of any of the people that I've known, so we're good.
And he would also marry his wife around this time. Then in 2003, Sinfernal Gaming would give birth to his second child, this time being a boy named Damien, and in 2005, Sinfernal and his wife would divorce. Then around 2007, Sinfernal Gaming would give birth to his son Dante, followed by Shala, his daughter, a year later. It is worth noting that around this time is when his future girlfriend Aliyah would be born. He would begin working at a Mormon restaurant, with him suing the place of business for something along the lines of discrimination. However, disaster would strike, as just when he was about to finalize the lawsuit, he would be arrested in 2012 for not paying child support. He would spend a few years in jail, being unable to see his children grow up, as it can be assumed that he would much rather spend his money on rather than his legal obligation of child support. Prison would be allegedly easy for Scott, as he would claim that once they saw how big his was, they left him alone. He would also claim to almost start a race war due to him being friends with a black person and not ending their relationship when told, possibly alluding to this friend of his being freshly 18, as that is what Scott is attracted to. He would only have one qualm about prison, that being that they wouldn't allow him to have his Satanic Bible, as it wasn't technically a religion, so he wasn't required to be given one. Something which he is still upset with till this day, often making extremely long and unprovoked rants in random IG posts towards this. Then he would be released in 2008, and he would be able to finalize the lawsuits and pay the child support. However, he wouldn't begin to interact with his younger children until almost 6 years later in 2024. Although this can be argued to have possibly been for the better, as his children Dante and Shala would have been 13 at the time. Something important to mention is that around the time of Unk's release is when he would allow his then teenage daughter to date someone 15 years older than her. Just showing Unk's sick thinking when it comes to relationships, as I, for one as well a majority of society, would not even begin to entertain such a relationship. Then, somehow, Sinfernal Gaming would befriend a female individual, with this person owning a puppy mill where she breeds, grooms, and trains animals to be sold, with the animals being sold for around $2,000 to $2,500. With Scott somehow managing to secure a job working for her business. It is unknown how Scott knows this individual or why this individual would hire someone like Scott, but like Scott's mother, she also does adult content. Coupled with the fact that she is a bit older than Scott, it is very much possible that she is a friend of Scott's mother. Then, around 2021, rather than foster a relationship with his estranged children, he would instead choose to begin his career as an internet figure, where he would quickly blow up on TikTok with his posts mainly revolving around and just being an overall really weird guy, with his postings consisting of talking about how much of a sociopath he is.
You do know I'm a sociopath, right? You do know the only people I ever felt a real human connection to was my children and my lover, right? If you hurt my daughter.
How he constantly thinks about unaliving people.
Well, if I'm gonna snap and lose it, what the likelihood could happen? I'm either gonna do it one of two ways. I'm just gonna go door to door and all my neighbors until I get caught or don't.
Posting about his weird adoption.
You're in luck. I already have. Months and months ago, I officially announced my adoption of every life form in the entirety of the cosmos, past, present, and future, as well as every dimensional state. I rescinded my adoption of Aliyah, though.
Getting numerous animals. And Schizo posting about aliens and how Donald Trump is evil and a reptilian, as well as for some odd reason finding the need every few months to post about whether holding your hits gets you.
First, Google, what is a Satanist? It's going to tell you someone who worships the Christian devil, which is furthest from the truth. Next, Google what you said. Pick any of the links that you choose. Read all the way to the bottom, then read the cited, sourced material. Click the link that there's like, this information comes from here. The first paragraph in that clearly states in black and white, breath hold duration and marijuana has not been studied. They are extrapolating oxygen and
something he is still doing even in 2024, as he still can't seem to figure out the answer, with the most concerning of his posts to include his intoxication of numerous animals, where he would seemingly derive joy as well as a creepy fixation, something he would double down on in 2024 upon the resurfacing of these videos. Then, at the end of 2021, he would eerily foreshadow his future as a Lolcow, with him making a series of posts where he talks about Daniel Larson, with him saying he needs to be locked up, with his reasoning being that he is a danger to children, even referencing a particular incident on TikTok Live where Daniel would expose himself to the camera.
There's a semi-popular TikToker named Daniel Larson. This person should be locked up. Because as a Satanist, we definitely do no harm to little children. There's been ample opportunity to get help. It's just going to progress to something worse. Indecent exposure is a crime, especially when it's to children.
This is, however, pretty hypocritical considering he would later promote his OnlyFans and Not Safe for Work Twitter to his audience full of and even talk to those same as friends. Then, around 2022, Scott would begin his first Discord for his growing fan base, and this is where he would make a few people moderators who, let's just say he shouldn't have, as it was eventually brought to Sinfernal Gaming's attention that these people had hate servers for being and anti. And upon hearing this, rather than immediately banning them, he would confront his moderators with him telling them to just not do it again or leave.
All of those followers, I've been a gamer my whole life. They were like, Scott, you should start streaming because you're a gamer. So that's why I started streaming. The fans asked me to. During that time, I was getting like 86 average viewers on Twitch for 3 weeks in a row. I wasn't streaming on Kick yet. During that time, a bunch of people were like, Scott, you should start a Discord. I'd never been on Discord before. I didn't know what it was, but I said, sure, I'll start a Discord. I'll start a server. I had a community with like 10,000 followers. And the people that were in my Twitch and people that were in my Discord, they were like, you need mods. We know how to mod both. I said, sure, you can mod these for me because I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's do this. And I let a group of people become mods for my Twitch and my Discord server. Then my Discord server grew really, really large. And we were a very inclusive server. Some of those people, though, brought to my attention in DMs on other areas that my mods actually had hate servers, like using propaganda and stuff. And if they were associated with my server, that looked like I was associated with those things. So when I found out about this and who these people were, I brought it to their attention and said, hey, listen, I understand you may have been a part of these things prior to you getting involved with me at all, but I can't be associated with anything like this. You need to leave these servers and not do things like this, or leave my server and be out of my stuff. They're like, oh, no, Scott, we won't do it. We're sorry. That was old stuff. We were just kids. And I said, no worries, dude. You can fucking keep doing this. Just stay away from shit like that. I found out they did not stay away from shit like that. So I took a hard stance and banned everybody quick. As soon as I banned all those people, they'd already had access to my stuff because they were my mods. I started getting hardcore trolled. I got doxed. I got accounts mass reported. They used to actually screen record what they were doing and show their Python programs while they would bring up my TikTok page, and then they would report something. And then it would do a report. This tool would report it for every possible thing to report something for. And then suddenly it would go to the next video and report everything. And it would show the elements of the page, and they would highlight this piece and put it in this Python program and utilize this to just mass report every video on any account that I had. So it made me lose accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers across TikTok. And it was just chaos for 3 solid years. These people happened to be between the ages of 14, 15, and 16 when this was going on. When this went on, and I finally one day I got fed up with it. I sat right here on stream and I called the FBI. I first called the local police. The local police said, you actually need to call the FBI about something like this. I called them and they put me in contact with 2 different cybercrimes divisions. And I had to report everything, give the screenshots and the recordings, which I had plenty of information that showed everything they were doing to give to those people. When that happened, about a week later, one of them came into stream and said, Scott, I'm so sorry for what we did. We were young. I'm trying to go into the military right now. I just turned 18. I don't want this thing to affect me. Is there any way you can tell the FBI not to do anything? And I was like, I can't tell the FBI not to do anything. The best thing you can do is stop doing what you're doing and don't cause people problems anymore. Live your life and be happy with it. And they moved on. And it hadn't happened for a year. Everything was fine for a year. And then I met a young woman who happened to be 18 when we met. I didn't know she was 18. I have never in my life sought anybody younger than my own age group.
So, as can be expected, they didn't stop, leading Scott to banning them as he didn't want to be associated with that stuff, rather than finding it absolutely immoral and immediately banning them in the first place, as he would claim he did in another livestream, with his exiled mods subsequently turning into trolls that would begin to dox Scott and mass report all his videos with automated scripts, with Scott saying this caused him to lose followers and access to his accounts. Specifically his TikTok account with over 100k followers, something to which he is still angry about till this day and rants about on Reddit. Also around this time is when the original exposer of Sinfernal Gaming would appear, that being Peach Aura, with her coming up with a slew of claims which just so happen to be extremely similar to his current accusations.
That fucking psycho is still here recording my videos when I go to sleep at night. Loser, get a life.
One of my followers sent me this video and I just wanted to ask y'all to please stop sending me this man's videos about me. This man has multiple videos up about how he is a sociopath and how he thinks about people. I also have evidence of him speaking to young girls, and I have one video posted on my side account about it already with evidence, and I have reported this man to my local police and the police in his city and the police in his state as well. There is already a report filed. I don't want anything else to do with this situation.
With these claims to include being a sociopath, being obsessed with unaliving people, and being a danger to children, with her providing direct proof of the latter accusation with him responding to a 16-year-old commenter where he would begin to flirt and talk to her.
To me, flirting. Hi. I think you're cute. You want to hang out sometime? Or, you know, I've got tenant app, just know how to use it.
Let's look at the comments on this video, shall we? Profile says 16. He liked the comment. Another one here that says, age ain't none but a number. He liked the comment.
This would lead to a back and forth between the two, with them arguing for several months until she would tell Sinfernal to stop, seemingly due to the harassment she was receiving from Sinfernal and his fans.
There is already a report filed. I don't want anything else to do with this situation. I have been in and out of the emergency room the past 4 days. I am dealing with a lot of health issues. I am really having a hard time. I have not been watching this man's videos because he is blocked. This man is 60 years old, trying to make himself relevant by continuing to bring me up. You're gonna say, how do you know this is about you? Babe, just go back in his video history and you'll see he's made multiple videos about me. And I don't want to have to file a restraining order, but I feel like that's where I'm getting because this man is dangerous. And I am just spreading awareness to the situation. I just want to remain positive and focus on myself and my health right now. I don't want any negativity or anything to do with this situation anymore. It's been over and done with. Please stop sending negativity to me when I am already dealing with so many health issues. Please. Please.
As well as hateful posts from Sinfernal and random face swaps of his face on her, which Sinfernal Gaming is absolutely obsessed with. With this newfound following, Scott would begin to think about how to monetize his followers. with his first method being creating an OnlyFans page, which, given his own acknowledgement that his fan base is full of minors, would be incredibly irresponsible and potentially sinister.
I was streaming Fortnite with viewers, got into the PlayStation party, and we were gaming. At some point during the stream, a viewer had mentioned my OnlyFans, and she said, "You have an OnlyFans?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "What is it?" I said, "I don't tell people what that is publicly to try to protect people from finding it that shouldn't. But if you're
Nonetheless, he would create one and he would begin to promote his OnlyFans on that same page, telling his questionable audience to go view his NSFW videos, with his second method being becoming a streamer, with him failing miserably, having numerous meltdowns about how influencers much smaller than him have way more viewers than his average of 2.
You know what drives me crazy about the streaming thing? I see people with less of everything and everywhere else except for their streaming profile, right? And they're making bank. But I have more followers and subscribers on all of my social media profiles, but I have less subscribers than people with less followers than me. Someone with 100 TikTok followers with 500 YouTube subs can have 1,000 Tik followers and have 420 subs a month. Whereas I have 40,000, 120,000, 4,000, 4,000 on everywhere else. 1,000 here and 8 subs.
Right.
That's what I don't understand. How is that possible if I have so good numbers on everything? Why can't I make money with it? I can make a million of those videos and not make it out. But some other person who's not even as pretty can do it. I don't get it. What is the key that I'm missing? Having genuine feelings?
I don't even know if it's that.
With the average stream of Sinfernal Gaming consisting of horrible audio quality and either him sucking at video games or illegally streaming movies while being AFK, it's no surprise to anyone except Sinfernal Gaming on just why he isn't a full-time streamer yet. He would even be posted to his local Facebook community for an unhinged post in which he would state that he was going to go door to door in his neighborhood and start unaliving people, with the community being rightfully concerned and scared for their safety, seemingly calling the sheriff on him.
likelihood it could happen. I'm either going to do it one of two ways. I'm just going to go door to door and kill all my neighbors until I get caught or don't. Or I'm going to travel about 100-ish miles away from my location. I'll start 70 miles away, then branch out to 130 miles away. And within that 70 to 130 miles, create a radius of victims. So that way they look at a centralized location between that area and it prevents me from being seen. So, like, maybe my neighborhood.
Scott, however, would not understand the gravity of his statements and just chalk it up to his dark humor. Then, life would be relatively normal, continuing to promote his OnlyFans and suck at being a streamer until around mid-2023, when he would begin his creation of an Instagram account, with this blowing up in an extremely short time, gaining over 40k followers. Then, perhaps his most notorious incident would occur with him beginning to date an 18-year-old while she was still in high school and begin to post about her constantly. It is very important to mention that he is unable to keep his story straight on just how they met, with him first stating that she texted him first on Instagram and they would begin talking from there. However, only a few weeks later, he would seemingly do a complete 180 and instead claim that they met during his live stream during Fortnite with viewers, a game targeted towards children, and they would have a particularly weird interaction where, upon learning about his OnlyFans, Aliyah would immediately leave the live stream to go and view his OnlyFans content, before returning hours later, telling Sinfernal just how much she liked it and even sharing her OnlyFans content with him, to which Scott would obviously enjoy.
The story of our love, Aliyah and I. So, one night, I was streaming Fortnite with viewers. She came into the stream. She wanted to jump in. She got into the PlayStation party, and we were gaming. At some point during the stream, a viewer had mentioned my OnlyFans, and she said, "You have an OnlyFans?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "What is it?" I said, "I don't tell people what that is publicly to try to protect people from finding it that shouldn't. But if you want to find it, you'll have to find it on my Twitter." So she immediately left the party and the game, and disappeared for almost 2 hours. She came back saying, "Oh my God, I found your OnlyFans." And then she shared her OnlyFans with me, and we liked what we had, and we started talking, and that mutual interest in each other's OnlyFans pages and the conversation led to the love that we're having now.
He would also claim that she would lie to him about being in college rather than in high school, already beginning to set up his sick and twisted narrative that she, as an 18-year-old in high school, was the one who preyed on him, a 42-year-old satanic felon. He would begin to post about her constantly, with his fans getting frustrated at this content as they expected his prior postings of his urges, being a sociopath, and his weird adoption, with one of his fans even venting her frustration in a comment saying, "Scott, I love you and your content, but all you post about is your 18-year-old girlfriend. No hate, but maybe you should post something else." To which he would respond claiming that the comments dictate what he talks about. But as we will see, despite his fans begging him to stop, he would not stop posting about his girlfriend and the controversy surrounding her. This was also the first post that would introduce me, Lolcow Enterprise, to Scott and his degenerate behavior. This would lead to a lot of harassment and trolling for his inappropriate relationship. However, he would claim that there was nothing wrong from his completely normal and not weird and predatory relationship, as she and him were both adults, with that being his sole logic and argument, and seems to many to be the only thing stopping him from dating younger.
Are you sick? Are you dumb? 18 is an adult. That girl is 15. 18 is an adult. 2 adults versus an adult and a minor. Fucking idiots!
As he ignores other important factors besides legality, such as the fact that she is still in high school, or that he has children younger than her, or that her brain won't be fully developed for 7 more years. And as a result of all this hate, he would turn off comments as well as put out a defamation warning, threatening legal action to the haters and turning off his comments. He would even make a post to Meta. Furious at all the vile comments he has been receiving towards him, a nearly 50-year-old man dating an 18-year-old in high school. However, he wouldn't bring that up. Instead, he would bring up all the hate towards women, children, and members of the LGBTQ community.
Hey yo, Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, y'all have enough money to have a support team dedicated to helping people with account issues. You also have enough money to have another support team dedicated to tracking down the people who are vile on your platform, who are misusing your platform to cause chaos on real account creators' profiles, to cause real chaos in people's lives, to harm children and women and people of the LGBTQ community. Like, you have enough resources to have departments explicitly for these reasons.
With him even getting his previously estranged children wrapped up in this controversy, as he would finally decide to parent his young children a year before they became adults.
First of all, it's 2 years. Second of all, it's none of your business. Third of all, they're both adults, so they can do whatever they want. And fourth of all, are you just mad because you can't pull no—
Like, this is just sad. She has no clue what is going on. Her previously estranged father just shows up, and he turns out to be this omega creep TikTok influencer who dates people her age. But she so desperately wants her father in her life, she is willing to ignore his completely degenerate behavior, until of course it all comes out 20 years later, or she takes after the family tradition of being in extremely inappropriate and weird age gap relationships. He should not be allowed anywhere near his children. I mean, he is actively putting them in harm's way, as his exposure of her to his fan base would lead her to getting targeted by multiple PDFs.
Your account says exactly who you are. This sick fuck commented some nasty shit on my daughter's profile. That's what kind of person he is.
I was not expecting that. I really was not expecting that.
Like, gee, Scott, I wonder how you could have prevented this. Possibly by not exposing your daughter to your fan base of people who think it's okay to date high schoolers as a 42-year-old man. But no, Scott is unable to do the sensible thing in this situation. This is when I would release my first video, first going unnoticed by Scott, but as it gained more traction, Scott would begin to make numerous unhinged responses to my video, including threatening physical harm towards me.
I give a fuck less when people are talking shit about me. When they're attacking my daughter, and when they're doing libelous statements, making videos that can cause physical, real damage to my livelihood, yeah, something needs to be done legally, since extra legal actions are illegal. Some lame is posting defamatory and libel statements against me on their YouTube. Hey yo, Lolcow, instead of being such a scary little why don't you show me who you are so I can fucking serve you with the papers?
This is despite me doing nothing illegal or nefarious, simply documenting his misdeeds, and he would continue to feel the need to defend himself day after day, despite his fans begging him to stop. With Aliyah also graduating high school around this time, then Unk would begin another series of sub-goals, with him first having a 1,000 sub-goal, with the prize being him having fan meetups with his audience full of minors/young adults, as well as him opening comments and most notably going to my house and physically harming me to the point I wouldn't be able to use the internet.
There are a lot of things that are going to happen at the 1,000 sub goal. Once we get 1,000 subs on my stream, then I'm going to take my stream on the road and we're going to travel and we're going to do all kinds of fan meetups. At that point, I'll have enough money to travel, and maybe I'll find them. Maybe I'll show up at their house. Maybe they won't be able to troll anymore.
With this sub-goal being completely unrealistic, as we will see in another segment, Sinfernal has a long and extensive career at sucking and being unsuccessful at streaming, with him not getting anywhere near any of his numerous giveaways throughout the years. With Sinfernal Gaming seeming to realize this and would bring it down to a lower yet still impossibly unrealistic sub-goal of 500, with him giving away a used PlayStation VR headset, a headset he would make sure to get all sweaty and greasy from him and Aliyah when she would come to visit, as soon there was to be a crossover event with Aliyah and Sinfernal Gaming's 17-year-old son coming to visit for a vacation at the same time. Also around this time is when Sinfernal Gaming would release his 100k follower Oil Up celebration, something he has been hyping up for weeks, as well as hyping up the NSFW version on his Twitter. And in the description of the post, Sinfernal Gaming would type, "Oiled Up, do not seek out my Twitter. I am a man of my word," with one commenter even stating, "I am afraid of the ominous message, do not seek out my Twitter, because now I am tempted to seek it out," with this comment gaining over 1k likes, proving that this really is funneling his audience full of minors to his Twitter, where he posts slightly blurred NSFW photos. Then, in response to my videos, Aliyah would threaten legal action, with her claiming to be shaking with fear due to me using photos of her in my video, with Sinfernal Gaming responding to this and going on this angry rant about all the supposed illegal actions I have committed, which aside from using their videos, they would also claim that I threatened to grape Aliyah and a whole bunch of other nonsense, with his proof being random Reddit accounts not associated with me at all and messaging him.
These are the Lolcow Enterprise and Lolcow Archive people that you people seem to love so much. This is threatening to go to Aliyah's place and do things to her. This mother here is threatening to have their boys go and Aliyah. Now remember, you guys, this is the Lolcow Archive and Lolcow Enterprise groups who are trying to take me down, calling me horrific things. Look at the things they are actually doing. Literally, this is your Lolcow group. These people are nasty. These people are evil. These people are vile. These groups have such heinous, malicious intent, they need to be stopped. I'm reporting this all to the FBI.
Aliyah would then proceed to comment that she is calling the FBI on me, with Scott saying that not only him but also his children will be making reports.
Good, baby, and with my children's and my own reports to the FBI, something will be done. These people will learn a fucking lesson. The last people who fucked with me for 3 years when I called the FBI, they came to my stream begging me to stop. Yeah, come on to stream. We're gonna do it again soon. Well, I just got off the phone with my local police filing a report about the situation, and this afternoon during the game stream, we're gonna live call the FBI. Let's go. To our minors and towards my girlfriend. They've been showing that they know where they live, and in fact, some of these people are close and are threatening to have a crew go to my girlfriend's house, scoop her up, and her. And these are people who are online stealing information. No, they're a different group of people this time. This is a group of people who are calling themselves Lolcow Enterprise and Lolcow Archives online on YouTube and Instagram. I LOL underscore ARCHIVES. And another one called Lolcow Enterprise. LOLCOW.
Wait, there's 2 underscores.
Oh, it's 2 underscores? It's 2 underscores on the first one.
And the Lolcow Archives is on Instagram. Lolcow Enterprise is on YouTube. And they have posted defamatory, libelous statements about me, calling me a child predator and a groomer, when there is nothing like that in my history or past, or nobody could ever, that's never happened. And it's because I recently started dating this young woman. But they have been, because of my relationship with this girl, they have started making violent threats towards my daughter and towards my girlfriend, who happens to live in Portland, Oregon, not where I live in California.
Okay. What are the threats?
That they're going to have their crew go and scoop her up and give them 20-year-old.
Okay, so what's the threats toward your children?
The same kind of threats. They go into her Instagram page, and somebody said that my son just came to visit me, to be here with me yesterday on Father's Day, from where he and his sister lived in Kansas with their mother. When he left to come here, the people started saying that there was open game for people up to 80-year-olds, my 15-year-old, and started posting where she is in Burton, Kansas. My daughter was terrified. She was sexually assaulted by somebody in Kansas already. And to have things like that be brought up to her is just terrible. Yeah.
So we had a very fruitful call with the FBI today, and the police in both California and Oregon and Kansas. Let's go. Now, willfully all done. Contacting the FBI yesterday, contacting everybody's police in Kansas, in Oregon, in California, making reports of all of the shit that's gone on, giving the screenshots and the information and the names of everyone who's been involved, showing them their social media profiles, their pages, Lolcow Enterprise. All I know is any of you Lolcow people or associations with these Lolcow people who have done any of the contacting of myself, my children, my girlfriend, my friends, my streamer community, any of you associate with any of the defamation and the threats, you're fucked. I've already given the information to the FBI, so stop asking people to be done with it, because it's not done. It's got to be done when you're done.
Then on livestream, he would make a call to the FBI with him making multiple videos boasting about how he won and that all the drama is all over. However, that wouldn't be the case, as soon his account, which was on an extreme uptrend, gaining tens of thousands of followers in a short amount of time, would quickly fall from 104k to 100k, and he would subsequently make a series of videos on June 26th, 2024, where he would post a series of ominous videos where he is visibly crying before deactivating his Instagram.
Good morning and great day to you all.
Scott would continue to defend himself from dating an 18-year-old, despite his fans at this point begging him to stop.
Remember, people, albeit my relationship might be weird to you, weird does not mean bad, illegal, nefarious, malicious. So, what's normal? Like, the people who try to show you a face of normality in their everyday occurrences are probably the ones you should really look out for. What is normal?
With him even making an extremely eerie post where he asked Google why an 18-year-old would want to date someone as old as him, with Google giving a response similar to that they may have a genetic predisposition to dating older men, with this not going over very well with his audience and him getting a lot of rightful hate for his disgusting and vile post, and being forced to delete it because of all the little hateful trolls.
The little hateful trolls, like, because of Aliyah's attraction to me and her being an 18-year-old woman and me being a 42-year-old man, I wondered why someone like her would even be attracted to me, and I showed what it said, and people are just weird about it. Oh, as I stated 1,000 times in the past, every one of my girlfriends I've ever had before her was born between 1979 and 1982. So, no, there's nothing in my history of dating a beautiful young person like this, but all my girlfriends have been different than each other, so.
With one commenter even asking if he has a genetic predisposition to dating high schoolers, to which he would claim that he does not, despite there now being multiple pieces of evidence that would say otherwise. He would then make a post to an obvious troll saying that the age of consent laws shouldn't exist, with Scott agreeing with the commenter before going on some nonsensical rant about Trump and the right-wingers. He would, however, claim that he was referring to the age of consent laws, which, with not a single person originally understanding his original meaning and commenting their disgust.
100%, and it's disgusting as so many Republican senators, governors, mayors, judges have all married and with an age of consent. It's sickening what goes on in monotheistic.
Then, on June 28, 2024, Aliyah would fly out to Sacramento to visit Scott for vacation, but not before Scott would send Aliyah's mother his ID, as that is an absolute must when dealing with such an obviously immoral and twisted relationship.
Wow, you are so twisted and warped. I have literally physically spoken with Aliyah's mother on several occasions. She actually has a copy of my driver's license. So, I was letting her know exactly who I am, where I am, and what's going on. You're a liar.
So Scott would meet her at the airport and subsequently take her to his humble abode with his 17-year-old son Dante and an unknown female coworker / roommate who I hope is at least above the age of 25, who they would also force to rearrange her living situation so that Scott and his barely legal girlfriend could do the deed and film OnlyFans content without having to pay for a hotel.
Alright, so my son Dante and I are moving the roommate from her area where she used to be to a different area so I can create a new area, so then we have a little living room area to game, me and Dante and Aliyah, and a place for me and Aliyah to sleep so I don't have to spend so much money on a hotel.
During her stay, they would do a bunch of fun things such as go hiking, give each other hickeys, post PDA to the dismay of most of his fans, and even make a couple of weird posts such as one where Aliyah acts like a literal child who hasn't even had the talk yet.
Guys, what is that? What is that, guys?
And even a post where he appears to lock his barely legal girlfriend in handcuffs. With one video in particular highlighting just how abhorrent this relationship is, as during one video, Aliyah would make a reference to a children's show, Phineas and Ferb, to which Scott wouldn't understand at all, because at the time of the original show's airing, Scott would have been 27 and Aliyah would have been 3.
Ah, there's squirrels in my pants.
Oh fuck, there's squirrels in her pants!
In yours!
Oh, in my pants!
Aliyah would leave the Sacramento airport on July 8th and head back to her hometown, where Scott would also plan a fan meetup, but unsurprisingly nobody would show up, so
I reactivated just to show you guys that it was me who got rid of this account. But right now I'm getting ready to take Aliyah back to the airport, and if y'all want to do a meet and greet in Sacramento this morning, this is the time. So no one wanted to do this meet and greet in Sacramento at the fucking free parking at the airport? What's up? Guys. We see how it is. You could have met Dante, you could have met Aliyah, you could have met Tortilla, and me.
I don't.
Those who wanted to kill me, here was your chance.
after making a few more videos where he mooches on his 18-year-old girlfriend, he would embrace for one final hug before Aliyah would go back home, seemingly saving the completely insensitive and unfunny 9/11 joke for off-camera. Then life would be uneventful until trolls would begin to message Scott's boss and X his OnlyFans content, where Scott would once again call the authorities.
Look how dumb these people are. First, they send something trying to be like, look at this guy Scott, one of your employees. And then they try to fucking act like they want to do business with us. Dumb. I wonder if this is their real phone number. Y'all's really obsessed, aren't you? You like literally go and steal my OnlyFans teaser promo trailer. And you start sending it to my ex-girlfriend, to my boss, and posting it whoever knows where else. Like, what are you doing? I hope you know I'm calling the authorities again. Like, I get that it blows your mind that everybody still has my back considering all the dumb shit you guys keep saying, but like, literally, people love me because I'm a great person. You all keep making up things that are not true, and the people who know me know this. Why do you keep doing this to people? Oh, okay, I just talked to the police. Check it out, penal code 647J4. Utilizing explicit material of me to try to cause me harm with my reputation and or my business. Oh yeah, that's revenge porn. That's criminal.
This is when all the mountain of evidence towards him being inappropriate towards begins to pile up as the Peach Aura expose would resurface, as well as him flirting with multiple in his comments as young as 13, with him responding claiming that he doesn't go to the people he responds to, regardless if he is sending hard eyes or making extremely comments towards the person he is responding to, which, even if true, Scott still has an obligation to not do stuff like this.
So stupid. Alright, so the dumb little group who's been making defamatory videos about me here on Insta and YouTube at least, and sending videos of mine to ex-girlfriends and co-workers and some of you out there here on Insta and who knows where else, have now made a new defamatory video claiming what that says. Not true. So not true. So, on somewhere, I don't even know where, someone made some kind of video or comment, and I made a video reply to it and said something nice to them. Because I said something nice, somebody else commented on the video that I was flirting. As you guys know, my content pertains to me video replying to comments. I don't go to your page when I touch your comment to video reply to it. I touch the comment and video reply to it and go about my business. So, the person said, "Ooh, he's flirting." I video replied to that comment. I says, "No, that wasn't me flirting. This is what me flirting would look like," and then proceeded to say something that was vulgar. Not to the commenter, but as an expression of what me flirting would have looked like in an extreme way, and then posted the video. Apparently, my haters are so obsessed that they don't just stalk me, but they stalk each of you out there too, and they found out that that commenter happened to be 16. I didn't flirt.
Which I would like to point out just how mad he is in the video, just walking around in circles and screaming at his phone, with his son Dante watching his dad from across the room, having a complete meltdown over him being inappropriate towards minors. Then, on a live stream just mere hours after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, Scott would say that Trump deserved it as he was, quote, something completely hypocritical and ironic considering the current predicament he is in.
Thoughts on what happened to Trump? I don't think that they should try to make Trump a martyr.
Yeah, because
if any politician deserves it, it's him. But they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't make him a martyr. No. But I don't think that it was right for anybody to make an attempt like that on anyone's lives. And then, they should make attempts like that. Pedophiles should be killed. And Donald Trump has been accused of by children on several occasions, even in court documents. And if anybody's guilty by association with people, it would be Trump. So maybe he does deserve it. Maybe he does deserve it.
I don't know, buddy. I don't know what you mean by it.
With Aliyah making the same insane comments towards Trump. Something of note to mention is that Sinfernal Gaming would comment on the predicament Jack Black's band was in after a bandmate of his also advocated for Trump's assassination, with Jack immediately reprimanding him on stage and later canceling his tour due to the incident, with Sinfernal Gaming not understanding the severity of the situation would claim that this was simply just a shitty thing and nothing more, and would tell him to continue his tour so that he can show some love to his fans, which, if we all know Sinfernal Gaming, he sure does show love to his fans.
Jack, don't quit your Tenacious Detour because of that dumb and that loser-ass Trump. Like, sure, a shitty thing happened, but that has nothing to do with you and our love for you.
With Sinfernal Gaming somehow revealing something even more disturbing in that same response, with him claiming to be in contact with Jack Black's son as he paid for a cameo from Scott.
FYI, guess what? Your son, Tommy, has bought 2 cameos from me.
Jack Black's response to what his bandmate said, I can only imagine how Jack Black would react if he ever found out that his son is in contact with a satanic, sociopathic, felon predator who preys on 18-year-olds and who also advocated for Trump's assassination. Then Sinfernal Gaming would visit New York as his girlfriend Aliyah would take him for a modeling event, with Scott claiming that this is his first vacation ever and that Aliyah is paying for the entire trip. During his New York trip, Scott can be seen wearing a dress, as well as having 2 more fan meetups where not a single person would show up, with Scott eventually returning home after that, and for no apparent reason at all would shave his head, which would seem to be bad luck, as only a few hours later he would subsequently get broken up with by his 18-year-old girlfriend, with him posting multiple videos where he can be seen breaking down and crying.
Well, everybody, Aliyah and I mutually discussed it and decided that we would end things. It's sad, but we'll both move on. She's a beautiful, wonderful woman, and I have nothing bad to say about her or the time we spent together. I'm not gonna disallow myself to feel anymore. First, she wasn't groomed. Second, I'm the one who brought up she and I's relationship.
However, more sinister is that not even 24 hours later, Scott would begin his hunt for another barely legal honey and begin flirting with another girl who looks questionably young. Then, out of nowhere, Scott, seemingly in a fit of rage, would make a post where he attempts to dox my address, as well as make a direct threat to come to my house and unalive me in the next few days.
This is the information pertaining to the person who's running the LCE page, the Lolcow Enterprise page, like frequent places their IP address for the devices are. There's a couple different houses, there's a civic center, there's a park, but there's a really sus one that they frequent, and they're there a lot. Like, check this out. They hang out outside of this elementary school. Look, creepy. And things that we consider it doxing, so no. Oh, and it's posted to Insta, YouTube, Clapper, TikTok, like Twitter. It's posted. As soon as my hands aren't tied here, I'm showing up at that motherfucker's house as a direct threat.
As Scott has sold all his puppies for his business, which was the only thing stopping him, with this getting his account with over 100k followers banned for his attempted doxing of me, and would just continue his influencer career on his Instagram account of 5k followers, with him claiming to not care that he got banned, while at the same time posting videos where he is clearly upset.
Not exactly sure. At least 3 accounts are permabanned, and only 1 account posted that video that everybody said I should delete, so I couldn't do with that. And if you all remember the posts on those accounts yesterday, I was wanting them to get banned. Hey yo, guess what? Enough people have your location now. It doesn't matter if you got those accounts banned.
However, later when asked about how he got his account banned, he would blame it on the trolls and not on his own actions.
Trolls got it permabanned.
With this lack of accountability seen in other lolcows such as Daniel Larson and Chris Chan, then only a few days later, Scott would begin to build his harem of 18-year-olds, asking them to message him and send them their IDs so that he is able to ethically and morally prey on these women in his supposed age range.
She was 8 fucking teen! Come on, she'd just been getting out of high school! Get over yourselves! Literally, get the fuck over yourselves. Do you know, since you all started making such a big fucking deal about this stupid shit, do you know how many 18-year-olds have sent me their IDs because they want to on camera for money on OnlyFans? Not me paying them. They want to do it so I can make money for putting my inside of them. Like, you're doing this. And I'm gonna do it. Because I'm trying to make that money. And I like to... Alright, for everyone who wants to join Scott Cold, what you need to do is look into Satanic sex magic. You must be 18 or older. Well, I need to verify that everybody is 18 or up, so block out any locating information on your ID or driver's license and send it to me on Insta.
As well as possibly adding the photo to his collection, as in a post he would retweet them's bragging rights.
Weird. Them's bragging rights.
With him even making a video where he admits to getting the ID of a questionably young girl and even know her address.
Come to think of it, you did give me a copy of your ID.
And with the recent resurfacing and controversy surrounding him abusing animals, he would double down on his animal abuse claims, with him uploading a video where he allegedly gets a frog with the caption being, "Hate me, I don't give a," followed by a series of emojis signifying his enjoyment of these disturbing and morbid acts.
I just caught a frog. I'm gonna get it stoned. Yeah, keep it right here. I'm gonna blow pot smoke into it. I'm gonna let it go.
Right now? I'll drop it.
hard to believe I'm going to say this because I've spent most of my adult life taking medical from Singapore, but I'm not going to lie about that. I'm very proud of me. Any reason you think when you have to force the cabinet open while it's in the fire? No, can't. It's like we're doing it open with a crowbar.
So yesterday I got my cat high, and now she's sitting here like begging me to get stoned again. She's like, Scott, get me high, Scott. I want to get high again. That's what she's telling me. She liked it. She liked it a lot.
Like, someone needs to put a stop to this individual. He is clearly breaking the law. Like, I mean, this lunatic is around helpless dogs, unsupervised daily. With his previous acts, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think this man might be doing the same thing with these precious animals, as he clearly doesn't give a fuck about his abuse towards animals. Hello everyone, before we continue with the rest of the video, I want to remind you to like and subscribe if you find this content informative. It really helps to push the video and shed light on predators like Sinfernal Gaming. Sinfernal Gaming has a long history of misdeeds towards children. To start, we should begin with the multiple statements of him bragging about being SA'd as an infant.
And I get it. Most people's issue is the fact that they can't pull. Me, I've been pulling since I was an infant, and I will always pull.
And even going as far as to say that people have been wanting to have sex with him even as an infant because of how sexy and attractive he is.
For some reason, something's going on and we wind up having I don't know how, but we do. We do. And I've had with a lot of people in a lot of places. And girls just wanted my whole life. Everybody wanted to. That's why I was as a kid, and it made me a hype person. But I understand.
And this isn't the only instance of him bringing up completely unprovoked and bragging about his sexual experiences as a child, with him reminiscing and bragging about his times as a young boy in school and church, where he would allegedly SA other children, with him saying he would have to convince the children going to church with either going to the arcade across the street or playing doctor and house with him behind the church, with his retellings involving him licking his lips, using weird terms such as fondling, and even referring to himself as daddy, which, given his adoption fetish we will get into, is quite morbid.
Check it, I kind of get what she's saying. So, when I was younger, I didn't play a lot of sports, right? But what I did play was kissing tag and house and doctor. Now, you can guess what all of those entailed. Well, people used to say that I was gay because I was hanging out with girls and playing games with girls. Yet, in my mind, I thought them all playing grab-ass with each other and getting sweaty and tackling each other looked a hell of a lot more gay than me playing kissing tag and house.
You know, he played football and stuff, so, you know, that audience tends to be, you know, very male and very right-leaning, so, you know, if somebody's gay, they're like, oh, we must...
The funny thing about that, right?
Get him out of here.
So when I was younger, okay, I made a video about this recently, I think. You may have seen it. So, people called me when I was in school because I was playing kissing tag and house with the girls, right? But what's more, me being kissed by the girls and being daddy in the house persona that when we're playing house, or getting sweaty with dudes playing shirts and skins.
Yeah, hold on. I had one more question. So, I'll actually bring it back. So, it's actually pretty funny because back in the church, you try and convince the other kids to go play the arcade and knock it with you.
Oh, I would. It'd be easier to do. Like,
it'd be easy?
Church is dumb. Yeah, nobody liked it. None of us liked being there. It was stupid. The songs were dumb. The lessons were dumb. Nobody enjoyed it. But
yeah, and what you say?
Going behind the building and fondling each other or going off to the arcade down the street, either one of those was a way better option.
And he would even go as far as to say that the reason it was quite so easy for not only him but priests as well to prey on children is because they were over, and not because of sick, disgusting predators like Sinfernal Gaming preying on innocent children.
Going behind the building and fondling each other or going off to the arcade down the street, either one of those was a way better option.
Yeah, and would you say these kids were as messed up as you, or they had pretty pretty good...
Like, the kids who do those kind of things are people who were messed up. They were messed with and messed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When you find a child who's over like that, they were with. It's not good. And a lot of those kids are found in churches, and that's why the churches are filled with pastors who are priests.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to try and convince the kids to play doctor with you?
which I don't know if he is trying to say all children at church had as much of a fucked up childhood as him, and we're over here giving googly eyes and seducing the priest, but this is such a sick and warped thinking, it makes my stomach churn. And he would even go to say in a now deleted video that he was more mature as a 6-year-old than a literal adult, just showing his sick and demented thinking. He would also be exposed in 2021 after he would flirt with a 16-year-old and say some extremely things, as well as liking comments such as age ain't nothing but a number, or one that said how she was a minor.
For me, flirting, I think you're cute. You want to hang out sometime? Or, you know, I've got 10 packages and know how to use it.
Let's look at the comments on this video, shall we? Profile says 16. He liked the comment. Another one here that says, age ain't none but a number. He liked the comment.
And later in 2024 would be exposed for following a 14-year-old and commenting hard eyes on multiple people's comments, including one as young as 13, with him admitting that he talks to minors as friends on the same account he promotes his OnlyFans on.
On my YouTube channel, I have screen recorded DMs of people who happen to have been underage trying to flirt with me, and my responses to them, how I handle that kind of stuff. In fact, today I had to handle another one and told this person, I will only talk to you like a friend. Think about it for a second, okay? I said that I will only talk to them like a friend. I didn't say that I am their friend. I said I will only talk to them like a friend. And I'm going to be nice, I'm going to be cordial. I am not going out and reaching out into anybody's DMs. If people DM me, I might respond. I don't know how you guys don't understand this. I've said this to you 1,000 times. I don't DM people. I will not be found in anybody's DMs. I do not go and talk with minors. People talk to me, and I respond. That's all.
And let's not forget about how he dated an 18-year-old who was still in high school, with his sole reason being that it was legal, not caring that she was still in high school.
Are you sick? Are you dumb? 18 is an adult. That girl is 15. 18 is an adult. 2 adults versus an adult and a minor. Idiots!
And after him and Aliyah broke up, he would go on and say that all his haters fantasize about dating high schoolers, which really seems like projection.
You are, because it's all any of you people seem to be able to think about is that I dated an 18-year-old. So, y'all keep fantasizing about it. And that's something you're going to fantasize about for the rest of your life, isn't it?
And he would have some really sick thoughts towards children, even his own, with him picturing unprovoked and for no reason at all bring up and think about his children when talking about what he would rather them do.
Oh, for sure. And they're going to be doing much worse things. Of all of the things that my kids could be doing, I'd much rather them come home red and glossy-eyed and stoned than dragged to the front yard, drunk, passed out, puking on themselves naked. And if this is what you perceive and that's what you're thinking about, is little kids cleaning their... You got some fucking warped-ass mind, dude.
And as previously mentioned, would refer to himself as daddy when talking about his experiences with other children, which at first can seem pretty lackluster, but once you account for his constant postings about his weird adoption, about how he adopted every single life form in the cosmos, you start to get a different idea.
You're in luck. I already have. Months and months ago, I officially announced my adoption of every life form in the entirety of the cosmos, past, present, and future, as well as every dimensional state. I rescinded my adoption of Aliyah, though.
And he has a history of attraction towards barely legal girls, with him constantly responding and interacting with them as much as possible as early as 2021.
You're 19?
Yes.
You look older. That's not a compliment. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years.
Let's go! Happiest You Day!
As well as following any and all 18-year-old OnlyFans creators he can, which brings me to how he promotes his OnlyFans to his audience constantly, despite him admitting multiple times that he shouldn't.
At some point during the stream, a viewer had mentioned my OnlyFans, and she said, "You have an OnlyFans?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "What is it?" I said, I don't tell people what that is publicly to try to protect people from finding it that shouldn't. But if you want to find it, you'll have to find it on my Twitter. So she immediately left the party and the game. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you.
Skibby toilet, skibby skibby toilet, 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 skibby toilet, skibby skibby toilet.
And I would like to bring up just one more time about how this individual promotes his OnlyFans on the same account he interacts with children on, with him even planning a fan meetup with his audience full of minors/young adults.
There are a lot of things that are going to happen at the 1,000 sub goal. Once we get 1,000 subs on my stream, then I'm going to take my stream on the road and we're going to travel and we're going to do all kinds of fan meetups.
It is very important to mention that Scott works with animals, specifically dogs, daily. With that said, Scott has a history throughout the years, beginning as early as 2021, where he appears to get various different types of insects and animals high.
I think it's starting to affect him now. Seems to be slowing down.
With him, even as recently as August 29th, 2024, where he gets a frog.
I just caught a frog. I'm gonna get it stoned. Yeah. Right here. I'm gonna go pot so I'll get to it. We're gonna let it go.
Am I right now? I dropped it.
Well, it's hard to believe I'm going to say this because I've spent most of my dog.
With him appearing to derive copious amounts of amusement, as seen from his choice of emojis. Given this, I am highly cautious of possible ill treatment towards the animals in his care, and I seriously think this man needs to be reported to the police or PETA.